What's good, YouTube? Nobody here. Welcome to Empyrion. This is going to be one of the extra games that I'm picking up. Don't worry, if you're here for my Space Engineers content, I will continue to do that. I'll be releasing 1 to 2 videos on that a week. So that's still coming. Don't worry, don't freak out, don't unsub. And we're just going to be picking up some extra games so we don't get burnt out on playing the same game all the time. I'm going to run through my game category and play just about every building-based game that I have, such as The Sims, Empyrion, and a bunch of others. So we're gonna concentrate on that for a while. However, I've got it figured out to where my schedule's a lot easier to deal with. I've got better ways to edit things and all of that. So we're just gonna run through a bunch of different games. This is a game that I'm just gonna go ahead and decline all of this. I don't really need to play through the mission because I've played this plenty of times back on Twitch. So I'm just gonna run in and get started with everything here. But I used to play this on Twitch all the time, and it's been a while since I've played it, so there's gonna be a bunch of new things here added. This is my second attempt at recording this episode, by the way. I've had some issues with my recording software. It was lagging a little bit because of the way that I had things set up. So I just backed it down to 30 frames per second. If you're wondering why the videos are no longer 60 FPS, if I want to run games at maximum, I'll have to back it down just a tad. Just the nature of recording things, which is cool too, because that's going to add some stuff for me later. So we're going to switch over to the resource drill and start picking some of this stuff up here and run around and pick some stuff up. And just play open-ended. This is a really good building game, by the way. If you haven't checked it out, you absolutely want to check it out. There should be a link down below to, if they've got it on Humble, I'll put the Humble bundle link, which I will actually make some money off of if you buy, which, fine by me. The cool part about Humble is money will go to my favorite charity if you buy through Humble, through my link. So the charity of my choice is Ronald McDonald House of North Carolina, because my nephew actually used Ronald McDonald House when he was fighting cancer. He survived, by the way. I'm quite proud of him. In fact, hey Nick, what's going on? He might actually watch this video. He has subbed to me on YouTube and does watch. But I'll get a small kickback from it, and you'll definitely be supporting the channel along with the charity, which is amazing. If you ask me, Humble Bundle is definitely the way to go. In fact, if you want a bunch of free games, make sure you sign up for the Humble Monthly. They offer quite a few free games every month just through the sign up. It's like $12 a month, I believe it is, and you're allowed to pick up a few games of your choice every month, which is really awesome. And a lot of the proceeds go to charity as well. However, if it's not on Humble, then I'll have the Steam link down below as well. So we're going to run around and just pick some stuff up. I'm running around too much early game. You don't want to run around a lot early game because you're going to go through your food pretty quickly, and you have to secure a food source. I generally try not to run around until I can get at least a small farm built, or just an area that I know that I can go loot a bunch of stuff. We're just going to run around from place to place here and loot everything here until we can find us a good spot for a base and maybe some resources. But yes, we will be doing Space Engineers. All the games that I'll be playing are building based games because you know me, I like to build. That's my thing. But just to keep from getting too burnt out on one game all the time, I'm going to kind of mix it up a little bit. There's probably going to be a video released basically every day. I'm not gonna hold myself to exactly one video a day. That's a little crazy if you ask me, if I hold myself to it. We're gonna see if I can handle it for the next couple weeks, and if I can, because I've really cut down on my editing with the new CPU and a new way to edit. So hopefully I should be able to get it to where it doesn't take all my time to do everything, and we'll be able to release more content. So be ready to see quite a lot more from me. Now, the individual guides that I do for specific blocks and things like that, those are going to take a little bit longer because I'm still going to have to edit those the hard way. in the long way, but these videos should be a lot easier to deal with. Ooh, we found some silicon pretty early. This is good. Silicon's usually the hard part for me to find early. I usually can't find any rocks. It looks like they may have made it to where silicon's pretty much everywhere now, because it's usually only close to the beaches. But I'm not going to complain at all about that. We're just running around grabbing up what we can, just getting early resources up and things like that. So if you haven't seen this game before, this is a very, very good building game. It's got a lot of building options and a lot of really cool stuff you can build. It's got an AI system in it with NPCs and things like that you have to deal with. You've got multiple factions that you can go to war with. It's pretty cool. It's got a little bit more combat in it than Space Engineers does, base game anyway. It's a really good game. If you want to check it out, I definitely recommend it. It's a lot of fun. A lot of people compare this a lot of times to Space Engineers. I think it's got better graphics and it's got a smoother UI system and a little bit easier to play. Like, I'd say it was Space Engineers Lite, to be honest. They have a lot of similarities, but there's a lot of differences too that I wouldn't normally compare the two. Okay, so we got some rocks over here. This is good. We're going to get some iron. We're going to get some other stuff around in here too. Now, one thing that gets me is iron should not be blue, by the way. Iron should be red. Once it hits the air, it turns red. This is copper. I see why they made it blue, because copper has to be red, obviously. But I like finding places like this with a bunch of ores just sitting around. We're gonna run around and look for some different stuff. We gotta find some materials. There should be places where we can pick certain stuff up. I don't think with turning the quest mode off, I don't think that we're gonna get into finding free stuff. We're probably gonna have to build it from the floor up, which is fine by me. That way we can just discuss all the different things that are different in this game than the other games. But I'm just running around and grabbing up a bunch of resources with the survival tool here and grabbing everything I can. One of the good ways to level early game is just to gather everything that you can, because you get experience for picking things in the game, which is really good. It's the easiest way to level up so you can unlock different blocks and things like that. There's this definite progression in the game that up until recently Space Engineers had. But it's not about building specific things to get to new things. It's about getting experience through surviving, basically, and unlocking different things based off of what level you are. I really like this setup for it. Your actions mean more than anything. It's kind of like 7 Days to Die, if you've ever played that, which I will be picking up probably next week. I'm waiting for Alpha 19 to come out before I pick up a series on that. We'll probably do a new beginner's guide for 7 Days to Die, so if you know any of my 7 Days to Die stuff from the past, we're going to be definitely doing a beginner's guide on that as well. I'm going to probably play a couple episodes on regular to get used to it again, and then I'll start on the series for beginner's guide. That's going to be a secondary series, probably about anywhere from 6 to 12 videos, which will take you from the very, very beginning and talk about the changes on Alpha 19, things like that. So, from what I understand, there's a lot changing in that game. Usually their alphas are huge updates. Okay, we have an ore scanner, so we'll be able to pick up any underground ore that's around, which is good. So I'm just going to run around and see what we can find here. I need to find some good resource areas. There should be some underground deposits, and that's what we need to do to start with, is find pretty much an underground deposit for everything. Okay, so this is going to be Polaris right here. We don't want to go into Polaris territory quite yet. So we're going to head back the other direction just so we can stay in neutral territory for now. I'm not sure who we're going to side with in the war. There's an actual war going on between the Zeraxis and other factions. So we're going to end up having to choose a side here. And I'm not really sure who I want to choose the side of. So if you guys have a specific faction that you want me to choose, let me know down in the comments below. But this is a game that's been out for quite a while in early access, and it's doing quite well for itself. They keep updating it. Like every time that I come in to play it, something major has been updated, so that's really good. We're in Alpha 12 at the moment, so that tells you how long it's been in early access. I think it seems like maybe about once a year they bring out a new alpha, which is really cool. Alright, so let's see, we're gonna continue over here. It seems like they're trying to make a story mode for it, which I really like the idea of. A lot of building games don't really have a story mode that add to the gameplay, and I think that's something that would be nice to have, is an actual story mode. Instead of making us make our own stuff up as we go along, it would be nice to have some sort of playthrough that you can do along with, kind of like The Long Dark did. The Long Dark was a really good game. If you haven't ever tried it, they had a full-out story mode. It was a survival game, and then they had an open sandbox mode as well, where you could just go out and survive. That was pretty cool. I never really got to play all the way through that yet. I probably will be doing that on my off time sometime. But yeah, I had a series on it for a little while over on YouTube here, and it was a lot of fun to play through. However, I don't really see that it's a good one for me to play. Alright, so let's keep running around until we find something. I will be back with you when I do. Okay, yeah, some spiders here. I gotta take care of these guys. They're a pain until you get an actual shotgun. Shotguns are really good for spiders, by the way. That's one thing I do like about this game, is every different weapon has its specific uses. Shotguns are really good for close-up combat, especially when it comes to spiders here. And hit Shift F there just to loot all. That's the easiest way to loot in this game. But these things take forever. A shotgun will kill these things in a single blast if you land it right. Otherwise, they run off and grab their friends and just annoy you. I really do like the wildlife in this game, though. It's kind of nice to have just things roaming around that you can kill if you need to eat and all that fun stuff. And the NPCs, they've been a little clunky in the past, but they're a lot better than any of the stuff in Space Engineers is when it comes to that kind of thing. Obviously, because there really isn't anything in Space Engineers. Now, I know Polaris is a mining corporation, I believe, so they would have a lot of ore in their zone, but we don't really want to go in there, because as soon as we go in there, I think we could become hostile with them. We need to become friends or enemies with people before we decide to go into their zones and figure out what's going on there. I want to try to find a good wreck to take over, because I know in the past, like I said, I haven't played Alpha 12 yet, but I know in the past they had it to where you could basically build off of a wreck and it wouldn't count as your base, and they wouldn't send the drones after you quite as quickly, which the drones can be a major problem. You need to, if you're going to be building early, you need to make sure that you get some weapon systems available for the drones as soon as you start building. Otherwise, you're going to have to defend it by hand, which is a pain. So that basically takes a lot of gathering before you start building. You can make a temporary base using the tent here. Let me see, this tent right here, survival tent, which we're going to go on and put on our bar. There we go. Yeah, you can use those to build a temporary shelter anywhere you want and just basically go through the night. I do like the tents in this game. It allows you to sleep through the night if you want to, so you don't have to run around in the dark and do things, which we will be doing in this series, is sleeping through the nights, because it being dark outside is not really good for you guys. It's hard for you to see everything. Okay, so I want to go ahead and basically make all of these that I can as soon as I can, just so we don't have any of our food spoil that we've picked up so far. So I'm just going to queue up a bunch of these, and it's time to eat anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and eat as well. Alright, so we're pretty full. We're not completely full, but that's fine. So when the nighttime comes, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drop down my tent and I'm going to sleep through the night. That way we don't have to worry about it or anything. You can only sleep at night, but basically you can skip night completely on single player. If you're doing multiplayer game, you won't be able to sleep through the night. So there is that issue. So I'm going to start following my mini-map around. You see these little red spots around my mini-map here? That tells me that there's undiscovered stuff in that direction. So we're just going to head in a direction and see if we can find some ore somewhere down. But it's basically telling us it's somewhat close by. Our ore detector's picking something up, but it's not going to tell us what until we get to it. So if you just go in one specific direction, you should be able to find what you need. So we're just going to pick a direction and we're just going to keep moving towards it. Like this one over here says that there's two things here. So we're going to actually pick this direction. That way we can find more stuff there. Oh yeah, there's a nice wreck over here. This is good. I think this will have what we need inside of it. It'll have a lot of items inside. I think it's part of the quest line. This is where it sends you in the quest anyway. Is to this closest wreck here, the large wreckage. So there should be some stuff we can loot in here, like all of the items that we could possibly need, including maybe a weapon or two. So this will be a nice place to think about starting our first base. Yeah, right here we got a projectile pistol, which is definitely nice. That'll allow us to defend ourselves. And we might be able to find somewhere around in here, we may be able to find like a survival tool or something. So let's go looking for that. There's some more wreckage over here. I'll go check this out. All of these things will have little... Ooh, a damaged hover bike. Can we fix it? If not, we can take all the parts out and make our own hover bike. That'd be cool. So I'm gonna bunker down here for the night and see what this is all about in the morning. In order to do that, I'm just going to place my tent down if I can find where it's at in my inventory here. Okay, yeah, it's on number 9. So we just place it down and then hit F to sleep at night. But we've got to wait for the sun to go down a little bit. This game is beautiful, by the way. It's got really, really good graphics for this style of game. I don't think I've ever seen a game with this nice of an ambience that is a building game. Okay, nighttime is over, so we can hit Shift F to pick that back up, and let's check out this thing and see if there's anything we can do with it. I think we might be able to fix this up. I'm not 100% sure though. There are some items. Ooh, Sathium already. Nice. Sathium's kind of hard to find early game. In fact, if I remember right, I think Sathium is the hardest thing to find early game, unless you get super lucky. It's, I believe, the rarest item on the planet. So this game has space travel and everything like that as well. So we will be getting into that. It's got a lot of really good building. So all kind of different things. You can make hover bikes. You can make small spaceships. You can make large spaceships. You can make bases and all of that stuff. So we're going to be working on getting towards that in this episode. Basically, I think we're going to get us a little bit of a base started this episode just to figure out what's going on. Let's go ahead and mark this spot on our map so we can come back here. So I just right click on the map by hitting M and going into the map and just make a waypoint here and accept. It doesn't really matter what I name it. I'm just going to make the waypoint so I know where it's at. That's where our base is, our waypoint is. And we're going to run around and try to find some materials here. So I can run around and actually run. I put a bunch of food on my bar just so I can keep eating as I'm running around, because that's the one thing that's going to keep you from being able to run full time. So I don't think we can fix the hover bike up, but what we can do is take it apart once we get our survival, or once we get our actual tools and stuff. We'll take it apart for the parts and see what we can salvage from it to create our own hover bike. That's probably the first vehicle we'll want to make, is a hover bike. It's the easiest way to get around. They've got a motorcycle in the game, but I don't really like the motorcycle. It's a little bit glitchy. This game was not designed for you to ride around on the ground the way it was set up. It was more designed for flying. So that's why I like to make the hover bike first. You can make them really easily and cheaply. So that's what we're going to concentrate on to start with. In fact, I don't even think we're going to build a base before we get a hover bike, because we could be a lot more mobile with the hover bike. As you see, it takes forever to find things. Yeah, we're level 5. Good. So that allows us to unlock some stuff here. So we're going to go ahead and start getting some of this stuff unlocked. The first thing I want to worry about is a hover vessel. So we're going to go ahead and unlock what we need for that. We're going to go for the generator. In fact, we should be able to pretty much unlock all of this stuff. So just double click on it. But in this game, you have to unlock everything that you want to use by leveling up. And the way you level up is you gather things, you kill things, all that fun stuff. So basically, surviving is all you need to do. Okay, so not everything, but we do have the hover engines, the booster. We don't have the hover engine 2x2 yet. We should be able to pretty much build what we need now. We're going to continue to level up and everything as we go, but we're just unlocking a bunch of different things that we think we're going to need for our first hover vehicle here. And oddly enough, I still haven't found any underground deposits yet. Like, none. Which is a little weird for me. I usually find them pretty early, at least 1 or 2. They're all over the place generally, but I don't see any this time. So maybe they changed something with the way that it works. I've been basically grabbing as I went from the rocks and stuff, but I'd much rather have an underground deposit. That's actually what I'm looking for at the moment. If we can find one of each underground deposit, we'll pretty much be set to build what we need to. One thing I do like in this game compared to a lot of other games that I've played is I really like the way that they've got their stamina bars or their stamina set up. It's more realistic. You can run and run and run, and then when you get too tired, you'll hear your heart beating and everything, and it just won't let you run anymore. And you have to wait a few seconds for it to build back up. It's pretty nice. It's more realistic than any other game that I've seen stamina in. I gotta hand it to them. It's really well done. Okay, so they changed some stuff. Apparently, I just figured out that in order to find things, we actually need to equip the ore scanner or the detector and click in order to use it, and it'll put everything on your map that's around you. Used to, you just had to have it in your inventory and it would be perfectly okay. So make sure you do that as soon as you get the chance. I just found some iron deposit and a bunch of other stuff here. So we're going to go ahead and start mining up this iron real quick. That's exactly what we need to get to. Okay, so I'm going to stand away from this a little bit so I don't fall down in the hole, and hit F5 to bring up our drone here. As you see, we can control a drone, and as long as we have a weapon equipped, it will actually allow us to use said weapon. But I need to go ahead and do this so I can find where everything's at. We're a little bit too far away, so we're gonna have to F5 out and move a little bit closer to it. 90 or 100 meters is a little bit far to carry your drone. I'd say get about 50 meters. Well, no, not quite 50. Probably about, I'd say about 30 meters out, and then control it. It'll be easier not to fall down in there. So we're gonna scan one more time so we can see exactly where it's at, and we're gonna start drilling down in here. And I drill down at an angle like this. It just makes things easier, just in case you do fall in later. So you can shoot your weapon from your drone. You can do all kinds of stuff from your drone. Basically, if you can do it on your character, you can do it with the drone, I think, for the most part. It's really good for early mining like this until you get auto miners. So I'm going to mine out this entire deposit here and get all the iron that I possibly can out of it, and then probably move on to another deposit. Okay, I managed to get like 581 iron out of there. There's a lot more left, so I'm just going to make sure it's marked and keep moving on. Let's see. I'm going to see if I can find some more resources here that's not iron. It'd be nice to get some silicon and copper first before we start building anything. So I think the rest of this episode is just going to be resource generation, getting things ready for our first building, and then the next episode we'll probably start by making a hover bike and getting started on our base. So that should be a little bit fun. Okay, so we found some silicon here, and that other resource is still not marked. So I'm going to go ahead and gather this up. And I'm just going to basically, in between episodes, I'm going to run around and pick up some deposits and stuff and get things ready to build. And I will see you later. Thank you for watching the video all the way through. If you haven't already, please drop a like to let me know that you did. Also, if you're new here and you haven't already, how about hitting that subscribe button and bell notification to be notified when the next video goes. If you like what you saw and you want to see more, click one of the videos on your screen now. Thank you. Have a nice day.